All right, guys. Hey, we want to welcome you back to the Raised Hunting Podcast. Haven't seen you guys in a week. I am David Holder. I'm your host, and I'm joined by the two knuckleheads. I'll go ahead and apologize for anything that might be said or done, especially because
I can't say special guest.
No, especially because they're not the only guests today. They're not even actual guests. There's co-hosts, I guess is the proper term. But we do have a really special guest today. Jackie Bushman is with us. So welcome, Jackie. We appreciate you.
It is an honor to be on the set of an award-winning podcast with two knuckleheads.
Well, we appreciate that.
The
Jackie
award
Bushman award-winning podcast.
Well, hold on. Wait a minute. Let me... Hey, Chris, reach right there on the top shelf because I know they're right there.
Oh, yeah. Here we go.
The award... Right. The award-winning is right here. For those of you that can't see, I have Chris is Jackie's cameraman is here.
Yes.
And there is the award-winning 2 years running.
That's right.
You know, so we'll just leave those.
Legendary. Legendary.
Did you think it through when you made a trophy with a baby squirrel on it?
Didn't matter. Just needed a squirrel. Yeah. Squirrel trophies are hard to find.
That's fair.
And we've had 8 different manufacturers of them. Yeah. That's a big deal there, guys. I told you.
No, it's a really big. I mean, and that's kind of like where, not that that's where we first met you, but because I had met you before and things like that through ATA, SHOT Show, stuff like that. But that's where we first got to spend some time with you and stuff like that. And for those that are listening, that is the Squirrel Master Classic. So I want to go back, let's talk a little bit about the Classic because what got you to that? I know, and that'll take us back to where it all started.
Well, Buckmasters started out as an event company, basically. Okay. And we're still in the event business. And I had to figure out, Gammo was one of our partners, and I was going, how am I going to get a pellet gun into a deer hunting show? So I was sitting down at Southern Sportsman's Hunting Lodge, which y'all, were down at, and the old Buckmasters Classic was a celebrity event, and it was set up like the NBC Superstars, and it just hit me. I said, all right, we'll do the Squirrel Master Classic, same format that we had the Deer Classic. So we'll have outdoor celebrities that had TV shows. We have outdoor writers. We had our 4-H kids. And we have these world-class squirrel dogs. So that's what it turned into, basically doing a promotion, for Gammo. And now you know what it is.
Oh, yeah.
It's the largest event in the industry for small game hunting.
For sure.
And that trophy right there, people will run through a wall for.
Well, and when you say world-class world-class squirrel dogs –
they are.
They are. I mean, I mean, those guys were like super proud to be there, and the dogs were freaking amazing. I mean, for someone that's never been around a squirrel dog, I had never been around.
I hadn't either.
And to see them catch a squirrel that we didn't even shoot is.
I want a feist now.
Yeah, they're pretty cool.
And those guys are serious. I mean, basically what we were doing is we were taking those dogs for 2 days off their squirrel circuit. They have a little circuit, they're like little professional. Right. Dogs, and these guys are serious about their dogs, and they wanted that trophy. And a lot of people want. Y'all were like the Buffalo Bills there for a while. You were just in second place.
Yeah,
you finally broke through. But y'all did a wonderful job. And hey, y'all still have the largest amount of squirrels taken in 2 days. 61 squirrels.
Yeah, that's unreal.
With an air gun. Think about that.
That's a lot.
That's a running gun. And I remember when y'all were there. Bo Jackson had seen me at the Auburn basketball game in the Final Four. He said, looks like you need some help on that squirrel hunting. I said, yeah. I said, you going to come? He said, I'll be there. I said, we talked. I said, you better get in shape. He said, I don't need to get in shape for no squirrel hunting. Shoot, after an hour and a half, he was laid out over there in the grass. There's our world's greatest athlete. But y'all know, when those dogs bark, you run, shoot, those dogs go again. I mean, we clocked it at 11 miles one afternoon. So if you're in good shape and you got some, young folks like y'all got, you can run and gun, you can win that thing. So
yeah, once you realize you need to actually run at the squirrel.
Yeah,
I'm trying to. We were covering that much ground though.
Oh, we were not. We didn't.
I feel like we were way less. Like it wasn't very far.
Did 5 or 6 or something.
Squirrel. Well, like I was telling him, that 1 year, I think it was 3, it might have been 2, but I know it was at least 2 times. We killed 4 squirrels out of one tree.
Well, that's the rut. The squirrel, and the rut of the squirrels was in.
Yeah.
Squirrel rut.
Yeah, squirrel rut.
Thought of it.
Yeah, absolutely. That's why you were shooting the males. They're all together. Yeah. Otherwise. So it is what it is. Buckmasters is working on the transfer portal right now for some hunters on our team. I'm aging out, so I'm looking for a few good runners and shooters. So we'll see what our team produces this year, but definitely going in the transfer portal.
Is there offers included in that?
Absolutely.
Now, is Buckmasters going to have like a fantasy squirrel league, where you can pick your team and that kind of thing?
Hey, anything we could do, but it's fun. Then that's where Buckmasters was basically started, was at the Southern Sportsman's Hunting Lodge.
Right.
And that one event that we had started Buckmasters, and it was like set up like the old NBC Superstars, and I just flipped it over with an outdoor twist. We had hatchet throwing and skeet shooting and bow and arrow golf and ATV obstacle and pistol shooting and rifle shooting and bow shooting. So,
what year was that?
That would have been 1987.
And how did you end up at the Southern Sportsman's Lodge? Did you own that or have
No,
friends
everybody.
there?
Those are friends of mine, Jim Mason and Dave Line, and good friends that I hunted in Lowndes County. That's kind of where I hunt. And they got into the outfitting business. So I needed a lodge. I needed properties. And like I said, it's the same thing I did with the Deer Classic. So I basically rented the lodge, and all the landowners wanted to be part of it. And they put their land. They wouldn't let their mother hunt on their property. But when Buckmasters came, they go, "Oh, I'll take so-and-so, I'll take so-and-so." Same concept. So we went out and said, "Hey, you got some squirrel property? Whatever Jim and Dave didn't have part of Southern Sportsman, the other landowners would jump in." So
it started as strictly events then?
yes.
Interesting.
Yes. Yeah. Buckmaster started out with the Buckmasters Classic, and it was an event. I was doing Deer and Deer Hunting magazine. We were doing a subscription to Deer and Deer Hunting magazine, and I wrote a newsletter that I stuffed inside of Deer and Deer Hunting magazine. And I did all the shows and stuff like that. And then we sold a whole bunch of them. And then, Deer and Deer Hunting decided to go in another direction. So we had to make a decision to get in the publishing business or not. And we got in the publishing business, started Buckmasters magazine in 1987. And then Ray Scott was a good friend of mine who started Bassmaster. So same formula, but a little different. So he said, "You got to have a TV show." I went, "Okay." So I started making some calls, call ESPN. "Hey, we want to do a hunting show." "Nope." Boom, hung up. Then I called TNN, which was the Nashville network. "Hey, we want to do a hunting show." "Nope." Hung up. I went, "Oh, well, I'll just stay in the tennis business because this isn't going to work." So, I got
in the tennis business?
Yes.
Were you actually in tennis business?
Absolutely.
Are you serious?
Professional tennis player.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I had no idea that. How long were you a professional tennis player for?
That's good. We've done great marketing. Wonderful marketing
great.
for you not to know that. But that's
Professional
okay.
tennis player.
When did you probably just learned that the other night or
I
something?
knew that for years ago when we were going down there, and I knew who Jackie Bushman was.
That's like
Started with tennis.
I would have never guessed that either.
You do know Jim Shockey was a underwear model, right?
Yeah, well,
Okay.
You can't forget those pictures.
I think that was like a one-time gig. I don't think that was the...
Shockey was in water polo. We don't do that in the South. So tennis was more of a macho sport. So, but no, my dad was a world-class tennis player and basketball at LSU, and then I grew up playing both, and ended up going to Auburn University, played number one there from 74 to 77, and played professionally during that time through 78.
You still play tennis?
No. I go out with my grandkids. My mind says go, and my feet say no. So, but yeah, and I got into that. I was basically in the event business in tennis. So when I got through playing professionally, when I was playing, Bjorn Borg and Jimmy Connors were number 1 and 2. There was only money to make a full living, probably top 30 in the world, and I might have been 125 in the world. Beat some guys, but I started teaching tennis after that, and that's how I was making a living. But my dad and I ran the Blue Gray Tennis Tournament, which is the largest collegiate tennis tournament in the country beside the NCAA. So there's the promotional side. You follow me?
Yep.
And so I already had that part,
Right.
just doing little bitty things. And my dad was such a perfectionist. He might put flower pots in the corners, of the court, or just little things to make it look good. People stayed in people's houses. You know what I'm saying? He just had a deal that everybody wanted to be part of the Blue Gray Tennis Tournament. So I just soaked all that in. And he was a master of ceremonies. You know what I'm saying? He called the big tennis matches. So I watched him do that. So it all comes back in where I'm a master of ceremonies at our archery events or at the Buckmasters Classic. I was doing that, and I learned that from my dad. So, yeah, it's an interesting run. But that's how we got started. And then, the squirrel thing came after that. And, we got the Buckmasters Country Jam I did, over in Atlanta with country music and everything. So it's been a promotional deal. But when we were doing TV, I called TNN back and said, look, we just got this event. No hunting in it? I said, well, we're hunting. I said, but no hunting on this production. Okay. And what are you going to do? I said, we're going to do it just like the NBC Superstars. Oh, yeah, we're fully aware of that. I said, well, who's going to produce it? Well, Dan Black, who was from Montgomery, was producing the Bassmasters, so I already had that in. Okay, if you get Dan to do it, we'll give you Sunday night, a one-time airing, Sunday night, 1988, October. And it ran on Sunday. Monday morning, Mr. Mendel called me, who was the chairman of KinderCare Corporations, who was sponsoring the tennis tournament. And he said, hey, you got a private plane flying in from Nashville. I want to meet with you. I went, really? I said, man, I'm soaking wet. I'm teaching tennis. And he said, just come on the boardroom. And I went in the boardroom. There's 4 guys from the Nashville Network. And I said,
this is the boardroom on the plane?
No, this is the boardroom at KinderCare. I'm sorry.
They had to get off the plane for
I was like, boy, this is a really big plane.
Yeah, so they flew in, came to KinderCare, and I was, like I said, I'm in my tennis stuff, and I'm soaking wet. They said, you just gave us the highest rated show of all of our shows on the National Network, and we want to talk about doing the first hunting show. So that's how it started. Didn't have anything to do with my acting ability. I was really bad, and still am after 38 years. So, but that's how it started, and we did a show basically to sell subscriptions, okay? Sure, we did hunting and all that, but we did it. The reason we did it was to sell the subscriptions, and we went from like 12,000 subscribers to 100,000 in 13 airings, and boom. When we stayed there 5 years all by myself, we had fishing shows around us, but that was it on hunting. Then Real Tree and I think Mossy Oak and those guys came in 5 years after us, and now. What is it, 400 shows, 4 networks, and everything.
There's a lot.
At that time, did you have to buy your airtime?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. That model has not changed.
That's what we were talking about.
Yeah.
Why do you think that it was it at that time, was it still hunting was the only space that had to purchase their airtime?
No, fishing did too.
Fishing did too?
Oh, yeah.
So how did it end up that way? We're only hunting and fishing. They were like, you guys are second-class citizens.
Exactly. Well, let's put it this way. They made more money off the outdoor block than they did any programming. They told us that. So
okay. So for those that are listening that may not understand what we're talking about, traditional TV usually you don't purchase your airtime. The network produces the show,
right.
owns the show, and then they sell the commercial spots, which is where they make their money.
Pay you a talent fee.
Yep.
Yes, in the outdoor space, you purchase your airtime from them, which I believe is also where a lot of people got to the point where they got very irritated with the commercialization of it. But what they didn't understand is the reason it was commercialized is because you had to then sell sponsors and commercial spots to cover the airtime. So just to make that clear for people to understand.
Theoretically, that actually the amount of time that the outdoor industry has been in that mode now, I think everybody knows that it is not the better way to do it. But I think that they may have thought that, hey, if we start a network where they have to buy the time, then they're having to buy the time and let them go do the work to sell the sponsors and sell the commercials and everything else. And then they have the potential to make a lot more money by doing it that way versus us just paying them a talent fee. But I think that probably got flipped pretty quick when that is not the case.
And
I wonder if it was a risk management thing.
I could have been the problem. They were going, we ain't paying that guy.
We blame you.
Yeah, we blame me. That guy's terrible.
Well, I wonder if it was kind of like a test, like a trial thing. Where they're like, well, we have no risk in it if they're willing to pay us for the airtime, and let's see how it goes. And
but see, not only it was a double-edged sword right there. Not only did we buy the airtime, the network got 1 minute to 2 minutes to sell inside our show. And a lot of times they would compete with us. I remember one of them was going, look, you can't call Detroit. Well, wait a minute now. Why can't we call? Because that's our account. So you are competing with the same people that you're buying time with. And, but it works. I mean, everybody works together. And
you're better at working at it than some of us, because like me, I'm like, that don't work. Because then the problem with that, too, is it's at their cost. So they can significantly discount that, where we're having to cover costs.
Trust me. I know.
You're a much more patient man than me that you've been able to tolerate that for that many years.
Well, here's the thing is I don't think many people – I mean, so I was alive. These guys weren't even alive then.
Yeah.
So I'm alive then. I'm into hunting. I'm watching this. I guess I didn't realize how far back it had gone. Like the ones I remember is the Bill Jordan, the Real Tree and Mossy Oak kind of really – came in and so Buckmasters is the that like started the whole thing or started that whole beginning, which is pretty dang cool to go back and look at, to still be here doing what you're doing. And I mean, and to have made it this far. What do you think, Jackie, is the biggest change you've seen? Is there, and I mean that whether it's bad or good or just, what do you think is, where do you think we're going?
Well, the biggest change, and I've said this from day one, is the cameras. I mean, when I first went out, we were buying cameras that weighed 25 pounds and cost $50,000 and couldn't draw any light. I mean, I sat out there, the famous 2 words my cameramen were, don't shoot. Okay? There was no light. And, I mean, I can't tell you how many deer walked under me in the morning. You know what I'm saying? I'm starting 20 minutes after everybody else has started legal shooting time. In the afternoons, I'm having to quit 20 minutes before legal shooting like that. And, and you're sitting there going, no wonder nobody's done a deer hunting show. You can't do that. I went to Texas. My first 3 years on TV was in Texas. It wasn't in any other state. So, yeah. But I think that's changed. Now you look at these little bitty cameras. They don't weigh anything, and they can see better than you can past legal shooting light sometimes. So.
What was your camera guy putting them on in the stand then?
We kind of created my first cameraman was Dan Black, and he was a cameraman, not a hunter. So what I learned that after a year. I went, all right, I got to go get a hunter and turn him into a cameraman.
Yep.
Yeah.
And I had Gene Beitelsbacher, who worked with Gene and Barry Winslow and did October Whitetails video way back.
I owned that 1 and 2.
And Gene came in, and like I said, Gene was strong as an ox, but he would sit up there and he'd hold that big block camera on his shoulder, and doing stuff.
In the stand.
You can never complain again.
Yeah. Hey, this is in the stand with no safety systems or none of that. Right. Okay.
How'd you get it up there? Just still
he roped it up. But then we said,
your safety line.
We created our first tree arm, and that's what we did. Is they built a tree arm that was probably a pipe about this long, and they had screws that went through the tree. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And then you could set your arm down in it, and you had a big arm that went out that was able to hold the head of the camera, and that was the way you could steady the footage. Now the problem was we didn't have the extension tree arms.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Didn't
bend, and where you could come back around. Yeah. So you're basically set up where you can get this, and if you had to come back, you're only going to get this angle, not the full angle, if you know what I'm talking about. But yeah, we had to create that thing because you sitting there trying to learn a little bit. So and then getting above the deer and keeping your footage steady. That was because the network, you just couldn't send them a bunch of junk. So. Yeah, it was a learning curve for sure. And as I said, we were out there 5 years before anybody else. So we were getting the letters, thank God there wasn't social media back in those days. We were just handling the letters. Man, I'm tired of looking at the advertisements, this and that. And they didn't understand. And I would get somebody on the phone. I'd go, all right, cuz, let's just talk about it. Let's flip roles. You're producing a TV show, okay? I'm not. All right, you got to pay the network $500,000 in airtime. He went, whew. I went, all right, okay.
We got to start.
Okay. That's just, there's your number one cost.
Is that a ballpark number for back then?
That's the number.
Oh, yeah. Absolutely.
Wow.
Absolutely. Then you had to hire a camera person. Then you had travel and expense and all that. We probably had $1 million into the total TV production for 13 weeks. So that's what, so now I'm having to go sell. That's what I was telling that guy. I said, all right. So unless you're a multimillionaire and you just want to do a TV show to do a TV show, how are you going to cover that cost? He went, well, I guess I better sell some advertising. I said, bingo. That's why you see 6 minutes of advertising inside that show. So you won't get to watch this show without selling advertising. So you think it's simple. We're just going to do a TV show with no advertising. So, and that's what I was telling Dave last night. We created an industry that wasn't ready for television, because when I was going to them, we were videoing in the fall, and that show would not start and air till the following July. The industry didn't have product made to give us the new product that was going to be sold that next year in July. Yeah. So we made the industry have to create their models almost a year out, and they weren't ready for that. So only thing they did was print advertising. So when TV took over, that's how it went.
Right, start pushing it.
And then we got into it, and I don't know how many years, we've been doing it a long time, but then TV started fragmenting, not just on outdoors, but everything. Cable television, you know what I'm saying?
Yep.
So now we were doing 1 million households on a Sunday. Now you go to an outdoor channel or something, you might be doing 200,000 or 300,000. You know what I'm saying? That's the difference. So it's fragmented. So your numbers down, but also at the same time,
It's more quality numbers,
yeah.
though, too.
So that's the thing, is that I was selling a universe of 85 million, but there's not 85 million deer hunters. There was only 14 million. So we were basically, everybody had to pay for eyeballs that weren't hunters.
Yep.
So you were, just for an example, if we were selling a sponsorship, say for $50,000, okay, on say TNN, we made the commitment to come to the Outdoor Channel, which went from 85 million to maybe 20 million. So we had to bring that cost down, but we had a pure audience. You know what I'm saying? We knew we had a hunter watching it compared to just somebody. But
is that why you guys left TNN?
Well, TNN was bought by MTV.
Okay.
And they got rid of all the outdoor programming.
Yeah.
They weren't into.
Now hold on, because last night when we were talking, we talked a little bit about you guys couldn't show impacts.
No.
You could not show the shots, and I remember watching that, and it was infuriating because you get right up to that moment, and then it would cut away. And Chris and I were talking a little bit about it because he said he was taking the phone calls.
Oh,
These people just, why can't you? But the network wouldn't allow you. When did that change? When did they start letting you?
Probably about, 6 to 8 years after we started.
Oh, it was that long, huh?
Yeah. Oh, yeah, because you come right there, and then we just do a little move like poof. But we put it in video.
Yeah.
So, we gave our subscribers the video with their subscription. But that's just, and I knew that going in. I mean, you know what I'm saying? Bass fishing was catch and release, okay? Right. Ray Scott, believe it or not, had to start catch and release. So, but that's just the things you just had to do to be able to put the lifestyle on the network. This was their rules, and we just had to show them. And then, when they started impact, then it had to be, very tasteful, shoot, get out, and that way. Because then, a lot of people, well, you didn't shoot the deer, you didn't do this, you didn't do that. So you had to get through all that. Well, it's on the videotape, so take a look at it. But it's
kind
just
of funny when you think about it, though, because if you looked at today, and a network wasn't allow you to show impact shots, everybody would be like, the left is taking over.
Yeah.
It's this country's gone to it's so liberal. And really, when you look at it I guess that was the early 90s, you guys couldn't show that at all.
Yeah, now that it's gotten to the point where you can, now we're starting to see some of it coming back in the censorship that you can't do it again, or they don't want to see it because it's gotten too graphic, And
I don't think you'll ever get to that standpoint again, though, because there's too many outlets now. Yeah. Like where that was the single source of, if you were going to watch anything hunting, correct me if I'm wrong, then you had to go to TV, right?
Yeah, there's no YouTube.
There wasn't anything else.
It was either that or DVDs.
So what did Jackie think when you started getting into like the late 90s, early thousands era when Outdoor Channel really started to hit its peak years? How did you guys have to adapt to that? Did it make any difference to you? Were you kind of like, were you excited about the fact that there was so many more shows? Was it kind of like, oh, Lord, this is a pain because there's so many competitors in the pro staff era?
Competition is everything. Like I said, I play professional tennis, okay? All right, so it is what it is. But we're proud that we brought a lifestyle on national television that everybody said no to. And we proved to them there's a lifestyle that was hungry for that editorial.
Absolutely.
Because it was a door that was shut, okay? Without that one event, I don't know if there would be outdoor TV, you know what I'm saying? Because a lot of corporate America, we are, 320 million people or more?
Yeah, 330.
And we're only 10%, and less than 10% are hunters.
Yeah.
So it's, we gotta talk to the other folks of what our sport's about. And some folks don't like to see, you know what I'm saying? They don't understand that God gave us these animals. It's in the Bible everywhere. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? Hunting and deer and elk and all of that. It's there, okay? And they need to know the story of what wildlife conservation is all about. You have to be able to hunt and fish. If it's us, it is us and the fishermen that provide the wildlife that we have. No animal rights group has ever put a dime toward conservation. Never will, okay? So, and you cannot dictate wildlife conservation with emotions and politics, and that's what you're into. You got somebody that's, got emotion. Oh, I don't want to see that. I mean, they just don't understand. They don't have to go hunting. They don't have to go fishing. But if they want to see the wildlife animals, go buy a hunting and fishing license. That money will go into conserve. Give it to an animal rights person. It's going in their pocket. And I've gone against them every year. They don't like me because I go right at the heart of it. It's not an emotional or political issue. You got to be able to stand up. And Colorado folks just stood up. They just went and tried to get rid of mountain lion hunting and brought it to the ballot box. That's what's scary. It's when they start bringing it to the ballot box and the hunters don't come out or they don't explain to their friends to go vote. That's where hunting is in trouble.
And it's funny that you say it because that's the philosophy behind Raised at Full Draw. Okay, we bring kids in. A lot of our listeners know that we have this camp. And what I try to tell people there, we don't expect to take 50 kids at a camp for 4 days and 3 nights and turn them into all of them are going to become bow hunters. Right. That's not the goal at all. No. What we're hoping is that those kids leave there and they have a different understanding or an understanding of what hunting truly is.
Yes.
And that they're out there and the next time when they turn, because our kids are 12 to 17, so they could be voting the very next year possibly, but that kid goes to and stands in a ballot box, and is ready to vote, and someone is telling them hunting's bad, you need to vote this way or go or take away these guns, and hopefully we've made an impression on them where they go, I don't think so. I met the holders. I met all these folks that were trying, and they were good people, and it meant this, and they weren't about killing everything or like doing things in a vulgar way honestly, like you said, hunters are the best conservation tool the planet has ever seen.
No question.
We've proven that in Africa and everywhere else, that when they take it away, the poaching becomes rampant and it becomes people shooting people even over it. So my point is that we can have a huge impact if we do it correctly.
Yes, and educate the non-hunters. As long, Jeff Fox was a good friend. He said, "Give me 5 minutes with a non-hunter, and they'll understand it."
Right.
But when they start hearing all the the bantering and the hollering and screaming over here on this side, then, they scream louder than we do. You know what I'm saying? And that's what happens, whether it's hunting or politics. You know what I'm saying? So you just got to watch that stuff. And, I tell people all the time, I met Noah when he brought the boat over and helped divide the animals. You know what I'm saying? That's how long I've been doing it. So I just, it's been an honor and pleasure. If we were the first one, I always say, if we open the door, producers like y'all have taken it off the hinges. So.
Where do you think it goes from here? Do you think TV is always going to be around, or do you think that media is going to change? I know you guys have done a good job of evolving. You've gotten on socials and got a good presence there.
I'm a professional duetter now.
Gosh, does Rhett help you do that?
Oh yeah, I'm just. Where are you going? I'm going to do a duet, man.
Yeah.
I said, first of all, they said that. I said, I don't sing, man, but I'll try. So, but no, I think. It's just like anything else. You just got to watch it. I hope TV will stay around a while. And I always said, there's that 45 to 70-year-old, they still like to watch television, okay? Yeah. They still like to read a print magazine. Yep. Y'all's age group, that 17 to, say, 35 or 40, they're into that phone and watching, on demand, social media stuff. So I think it's a combination. I hope it'll stay a combination of everything.
The one thing I think may come back, you may see make a bigger comeback is magazines. Because I'm 28, but I find myself enjoying magazines, even though it's not you might be able to get better content on social, but it's not something on your phone. It's a time to get off your phone and be able to look at something different. And
I hope your age group comes back, okay? And just tell them Buckmasters has a great magazine. Okay?
Yeah.
All right, we need your age group.
Do you guys still have Deer and Deer Hunter?
No. They just helped us get started. We have our own magazine, Buckmasters. It's been out since 1987. It's #1 whitetail magazine in the country still. And but it's funny because a lot of people still want to read and have that magazine, whether it's on the as I was telling y'all, their favorite reading spot is in the restroom, and the second is in the deer stand. So. as long as we're providing entertainment in the restroom. Nick might be a great person to have our magazine. Do it the time that he's been talked about doing.
He's going to need the.
He probably need a whole volume of Buckmasters magazine. So your listeners right there, that's a new thing, Buckmaster volumes for bathroom reading.
If your nickname is Whole Roll,
Whole Roll. That's a great nickname, Whole Roll.
Whole Roll.
Okay, Whole Roll Buckmasters volume. I got it now.
There you go.
But yeah, I don't know. Again, we're just trying to fit in. You know what I'm saying? It's just to, and I hired some younger folks. One thing I learned a long time ago: if you don't know what the heck you're doing, you hire folks that know what they're doing.
Mm-hmm.
And here again, I was a tennis professional. I mean, I didn't have any. I had a little TV experience, teaching tennis on TV locally, but I had the events side, but I didn't have the publishing side and all the others. So you hire people. That's what jobs are there for, and talent. You just try to surround yourself with the best team you can and go for it. And you got to market.
Yeah.
Your brand's your key, and your brand's got to mean something for people to want to be part of it. So, and we've been real proud of that.
Do you think the same things then resonate with people on TV that also resonate on social?
What do you mean by that one?
Meaning, like, when you are, let's say that you're going to go and make a social video,
Mm-hmm.
right? And with the intent of trying to get lots of eyeballs on it.
Right.
Do you find that those same concepts or those same core things also do well on TV? Or do you think it's different angles?
Well, let's put it this way. I'm shooting two, okay? It's Chris's video. I mean, I'm doing my TV version, then I'm doing my social media version of that hunt.
Okay, so how does that change then? What is the difference that you're doing there on each of those?
Well, I'm holding a little, whatever you call it, little camera out in front of me. You know what I'm saying? And walking and talking and all that stuff. A little bit more in the action, and it's not as clean a production. Does that make sense?
Yep.
Less
and maybe more to your point of view.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then we still take the shot. You know what I'm saying? And we got the TV version in that. We're trying that. So, again, I can't be in 100 places at one time, so I'm trying to take the hunt and make it a social media version and a TV version. Now, will it work? I don't know. Right now it's doing pretty good.
So,
yeah. But it's just a different look that y'all's age group seems to like. Now, well, they like me. You know what I'm saying? That's what we're trying to grow is that do they, Bill Dance is 83, and so I'm not even close to that. So he's doing social media. So maybe there's room for me in y'all's little world. You know what I'm saying?
Well, I think all of it can resonate, right? As long as it's something that people find interesting. I don't think that they necessarily care if it's Bill Dance who's 83 or somebody who's 23.
Yeah.
As long as it's something that they're interested in and want to engage with.
It's funny. I look back, they always ask me, and, we started out, and what you don't want with a deer hunter, and I learned this real quick, very egotistical person. You're talking about their manhood. You know what I'm saying? Can you hunt? You don't want to be, and I learned right off the bat, you don't want to be telling a deer hunter how to hunt, okay? Right. And Bill Dance shared this with me. He said, look, what you want to do is in the number one thing, in all the surveys we ever did, what do you want out of your outdoor hunting show? Number one, entertainment. I want to sit down and relax and be entertained. Well, when I heard that, I went, bingo, I got that part, okay? Because then we started doing pranks and, you know what I'm saying, the old hunting club stuff that normally would do. My highest rated shows were misses, okay? Which were a lot of shows, okay? A lot of shows, especially archery, okay? When you can shoot all your arrows, run down and pick them up and come back and shoot some more, you're struggling. So, but that was the fun thing, is to entertain people. So make them feel like they wanted, go to hunting season and stuff like that. And that's where, and as I said, entertainment and education. So if you can do that same thing over here on the social media side, and you got to be able to laugh at yourself, okay? If you're, I'm the only one that knows how to do this, and this is the way you got to do it, I don't think you're going to keep an audience, okay? Yeah. That's just my opinion. But that's the route I went. Yep. I went to more of the outdoor entertainer style than I was the you know what I'm saying?
The expert.
Yeah.
Necessarily.
Because I'm not. I mean, I'm still consuming all this. You're not going to be I don't know where they come up with the expert part, because that deer's going to kick your rear end 99 out of 100 times, but you will. You can make that 1% work sometimes. So, and that's the competitive part of the sport. Right. So, but you gotta be able to laugh at yourself, put stuff out there you might not put out, and I've screwed up enough. So, and that's fun.
Well, I mean, and I guess I'd like to ask the boys, because I think I know their answer to this. We've been to the Southern Sportsman's Lodge, and you walk around there and you look at the walls with all the photos you guys have of all the different folks. I mean, and lots of them are country music celebrities and things like that I grew up with. So I know who they are, or the Dale Earnhardts, or the Richard Childress, or Ernest. Yeah. You know, and
Jim Varney.
People that these guys wouldn't know, but yet but they're like, this is like so cool. Yeah. You know, and how do you capture that, you know, to show people, because that's always coming, you know, like whether we realize it or not, these photos will be the ones that someone else comes in one day and goes, I remember when you guys first built that board, or I remember when you guys first hung that up. And to realize you're in that moment. Yeah. When you walk through the Southern Sportsman Lodge and see Buckmasters and the wrestling pictures and the football players, it's just like, this is, to me, it's really, really hats off. I mean, because, I mean, what you've done for the outdoors, for hunting particularly, Jackie, it's like, I don't know where to put it. You know, there'll never be an award that could say enough for what you guys have done to open that door.
Well, the thing is, and I recognize this, the animal rights people went and got Hollywood. You know what I'm saying? They got all the, you know. So I'm sitting there going, well, Bo Jackson is a player. Everybody knows. And this is when Bo Knows campaign. Dale Earnhardt. You had Wade Boggs. You had Jeff. So I went to the entertainment sports side. You follow me? And I got those guys and gals who were willing to say hunting is cool. That was my way of going against the animal rights campaign. And my deal was, if they came, and they always wanted to come back, all right, bring me a new celebrity. Okay? So we had everything covered, from golf to NASCAR to country music, baseball, football, you know, actors, you just name it. I wanted to make sure I had the total group of people that were willing to say they enjoyed hunting. They think everybody should understand it. So that's how it started. It was Tom Ruger helped me with that way back. He said, you want it to be a celebration of hunting. And that's how, you know, and hopefully that message gets out. Yeah.
So, that's very cool.
Yeah. So we've had a lot of fun. Again, I've got, 3 years for 40 years on TV. And I tell everybody when that happens, I want to be like Barney Fife. I want to be in syndication. You know? And just be just a Barney Fife all the rest of my life. So there you go.
That'll do. I think the interesting thing about the Sportsman's Lodge is there's two things to me that really stood out. Is one,
cooking, fried chicken.
Oh yeah. But when you're at the Sportsman's Lodge, there's a lot of the people that I don't recognize, that I'm sure your guys' generation would.
You weren't born when some of them were playing.
Right. But like Stone Cold, I clearly remember that one being on there.
Oh, yeah.
Stone Cold, Bo Jackson, a bunch of those, Jeff Foxworthy. But the thing that I think stands out to me is when you're at the Southern Sportsman's Lodge, it's a nice place. It is not that fancy.
No.
Right? Like, especially if you're a guy from the Midwest or the West, you are sweating your ass off and you can't sleep because it's like 80 degrees in there.
Yeah.
And it's an older place. It's not really run down, but it's older place. It's not super fancy or anything. And I think that when you look at that wall, most of the places that I would associate those people with is more of a Hollywood, like Stone Cold, WWE, huge fancy productions, arenas. Yeah. You know, Bo Jackson, NFL. Like you don't, and then here you are at this
rustic
you're
lodge.
in the woods, or literally in nowhere.
Standard
in a
lodge
cabin
that any dude would go to, and it's not like nobody would be like, oh, you got to be loaded to be here, you know. No. And then what's the owner's name again?
Jim Mason and Dave Lund. Yeah,
like I admire him because that dude. I don't think he has ever had his heart racing on anything and has just enjoyed it all. Like, he was super fun to listen to and talk to, and he's just been like, oh, yeah, Stone Cold's a pretty nice guy. And I
really didn't like this one and that one. I wouldn't have him back.
They're just good old country boys. Now, you need somebody to interpret for because they can't talk.
Yeah.
I was giving Jim a chance to be on TV and everything, and you know. I was kind of giving him a lead in, hoping he'd go about 2 or 3 minutes. And I said, Jim, let's talk a little bit about Southern Sportsmanship. He said, yeah, we got a 4-day hunt called Dave. And that was it. I said, thank you, Jim. Thank you. That was it. I was going to give him a minute or two to talk about the lodge. Y'all call Dave. 4-day hunt called Dave.
It took me a minute to understand some of the words he was saying.
Yeah.
I was like, huh?
Yeah. But they're good old boys, and they started in the outfitting business and, had property and brought folks in. So, but
they just don't seem to get caught up in the rush of things. They don't get where they're like, I got to get this done. I got to get that done. They're just enjoying every day.
The South is very slow. When you come there, you're at our pace.
Oh, okay? I'm aware.
You're at our pace, and we're slow. Okay?
Yeah, that's kind of always an adjustment because people are just like so.
Yeah. It's funny.
Speed limit.
Doing it this long, and, I tell people, I can be on the beach or I can be in a restaurant or in the airport. People come up and recognize all that. They have never really said, hey, man, that was a great deer you shot or this or that. It all goes back to the rattlesnakes.
Oh, yeah.
I'm the tall, skinny guy jumping and screaming from rattlesnakes. It's the only sponsorship I ever gave their money back on. So I had to put these snake chaps on and let the snakes hit my leg. And my cameraman, I had 2 of them. I mean, bigger round as bigger round as the one you got in.
Yeah.
And there were 2 sitting out in front of me. So I'm having to ease in, to try to let this snake bite the chaps. So, and the cameraman I had was Dan Black. He was back 100 yards, with the cameras just on fix. So I leaned in there. I was looking at this one over here, and I leaned in, and this one over here just came for the middle area. Okay, and I jumped and screamed. I mean, I was a high jump champion. When I was 9 and 10, I was a state high jump champion. That's fact. Look it up. So I went up this way and went that way and screamed. So the cameraman came back and said, "I got a problem." I said, "What's your problem?" He said, "It was out of focus." It's out of focus. I said, "All right, I'll do it one more time." I said, I can't do it with 2. You get that big sucker out of here, and I'll deal with this one right here. So I leaned in there, and I put my hand, I was leaning, but I was wanting to push back. So, when, I could get out of there, and I put my hand on my knee. And when I did that, that snake hit me. And he hit me so hard, it's like, bam, and the venom was coming up everywhere. I still went up this way and went over. And I still screamed. And I put that on Ralph Emery's Nashville Now.
Right.
And that's what just blew up. And then every hunting place that I went to, there was a snake joke waiting for me. There were snakes in my bed, snakes everywhere. So
did it hit your hand?
No.
Was this a wild snake, or like they found it and put it there?
No. This was a wild snake. But it's just my movement toward my knee made him strike. So I backed up, but he hit me in the leg. And they said, hey.
And they hit hard?
Oh, just boom.
Everybody that's told me they've been bit by them, it feels like you're
you
getting
feel it.
jacked.
Oh, you
it must
feel
not
it.
be like
Punch.
a prairie rattler.
And the guy made
They're a lot smaller.
Oh, yeah. The guy said, hey, no problem. You got a $5 million life insurance. I said, well, that ain't going to help me. I'll help my wife. I said, I don't know why you telling me that, And I gave him their money back. I said, I ain't never doing that again. But
so you went through all that and then
all
gave
that. I
them
gave
their
them money back because I ain't doing it no more. But that's really, I'm serious. I no matter where I travel, you tall, skinny guy jumping for snakes, or somebody goes, snake. Just happens all the time. What about the big deer I shot in Alberta? Or maybe this. They didn't care about it. It was all about the snakes, man.
We were elk hunting in Montana, and we had these other guys that were staying with us. And Dad found like a 4-foot bull snake out in the yard, and so I grabbed it. And they look a lot like a rattlesnake. And these guys were they'd killed a bighorn sheep, and they were in the shed with this perfect back door to it. And then sometimes they'll do that hissing like a rattlesnake.
Oh, yeah.
Well, he was doing that, and so I grabbed him and opened that door and chucked him in there. And so they all thought it was a...
You're sick.
Yeah. Well, so they all think it was a rattlesnake. Yeah. They go flying out of there.
But you thought it was funny.
Oh, I thought it was hilarious. Yeah. Well, it got even better. Yeah. Okay. So that night at dinner, we're all sitting down. We're all having dinner. And in the middle of dinner, my dad's like, I need you to go grab your knife. And I'm like, what do you need me to go grab my knife for? He's like, I need you to grab, I want to show these guys your knife from your pack or whatever. And I was like, why do you need my knife? And he's like, just go get the knife or whatever. And so I'm like, okay, whatever. So I go up there, and I grab the knife out of my pack, and I walk back downstairs, and I give him the knife. And everybody is looking at me like, what the? Then one of them says, was there anything else in there? I'm like my calls and stuff, but there's a knife. And then 2 of them push out the table, and they go running upstairs. they'd put the snake in my pack.
Oh my gosh!
The snake got out.
Oh,
and so now they don't know where the snake is, and it ends up under one of their beds.
Oh. For people out there listening, y'all are sick-minded when y'all are doing snake pranks. Somebody's gonna die of a heart attack, and I'm surprised I hadn't. But I'm serious. We just did a whole show called Bushwhacked. We had a series on the show, a segment called Bushwhacked, and it was just nothing but pranks. And most of them were snake deals. So, but most of them were on me. So my cameraman is retired, Elliot. He had killed a rattlesnake out there in Montana. I mean, so they freeze the snake. Okay.
Oh, yeah.
They wait a year. Okay. So I love Kentucky Fried Chicken. So Lee and Tiffany were hunting with us and stuff, and we were out the ranch. So, I'm the first one. I want to eat first. I want to go to bed first. So they already knew, and they had me set up. So they brought that bucket of chicken in there, and by gosh, I'm pulling that thing off, and there's that rattlesnake right there. Oh my gosh! I mean, I'm about falling down on the table and everything, and they just thought it was funny. You know what I'm saying? Just funny.
You'd think that you'd start to get a little expected of it sometimes.
Everywhere I look, I'm looking and stuff. And I was telling your dad last night, the group in Texas, the Montgomery family, they were the worst. They had snakes everywhere, waiting on me and stuff. So I went to bed one night. I'm always looking in my beds and stuff. You know what I'm saying? I know they planted something. So I'm always checking my beds before I get in it. And I pull my pillow back, and there's a scorpion about that big. And I went, okay. So I walked back in. I said, all right, guys, look, I'm all about pranks, but, putting a scorpion in my bed, come on, guys. And they went, we didn't put that scorpion.
It just happened to be there.
It just happened. I still didn't believe it, but there was a scorpion in my pillow right there. I'm like, come on, guys. But, yeah, just people are
just know when you come here that we're not like that.
I know.
We're not.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, my boy Shane and you, I hadn't even got to the airport yet, and they're pranking me. So, but that's okay. Paybacks.
It was good.
Paybacks.
Shane's really good at it.
Yeah.
Our listeners know who Shane is. Shane comes on once in a while, does some stuff for food plots and things like that. So
yeah, game on with Shane.
He's the other one with the southern accent that everybody gets confused with.
Mm-hmm. So what do you the one that I want you to tell these guys about, because I just think it's cool, because I've talked about doing it, and you didn't know I was going to bring this up, but putting the telephone poles in.
Oh yeah.
So he was talking about this the other day.
Yeah, well, he did it, but he did it for elk.
I did it for whitetails first, and then I did it for elk.
Okay.
I mean, the bottom line is you scout as a whitetail hunter, you're trying to find the sign, then you want to find the perfect tree.
Yeah.
Well, what if you find the sign and there's no tree? All I had was little bitty skinny cedar, trees that maybe that big. So what I did,
this is in Alabama.
In Alabama.
Okay.
So my friend that I went to high school with worked for Alabama Power, and I just said, "Hey man, I got a crazy idea." I said, "What's the chance you got an old telephone pole?" He said, "Oh yeah, I got one." And you want them at least 15 to 16 inches in circumference. You know what I'm saying? So I said, "You got an auger?" He said, "I got the whole thing." He said, "I'll be out there Saturday." So I had all these little skinny cedar trees. If it would have been big enough, I could have put a stand on. So we went, and he dug a hole right in the middle of those cedar trees. And those skinny cedar trees were up 15, 20 feet. And we just sunk it 15 feet, okay?
The telephone pole went 15 feet?
Yeah, we augered out 15 feet, 10 to 15 feet.
How big's an auger if they're –
I mean, the
ones that we have are not that big.
No, when I worked for the power company in Arkansas, same thing. You put a third of the pole in the ground.
Yeah. Goodness. And we put the quickcrete, in there, let it set up, and then we ran our stick and 2 stands out, and we were sitting basically on top of the cedar tree. You know what I'm saying? We had the trails coming right here and there. I was whacking it,
Well, that probably worked, though, because you had cover still.
I had cover.
Some form of it. Have you done it without having that, or trying to add the cover to it?
I've tried to stay. We've done some out in the wide open, and it's worked, but I try to stay in as much cover as I can. But it all depended on the sign.
Yeah.
So when I went elk hunting out there with our outfitter, he could only he didn't have any straight trees, so he had one ladder. We couldn't put a camera stand behind. Mm-hmm. And I said, look, don't laugh. I said, I'll pay for it. Go get me 8 telephone poles. Okay.
And an auger while you're at it.
And an auger, yeah. And you put them where the stands are right now, and you'll shoot more elk, and then especially if we come back in video, well, fine. I paid for them everything. They've been whacking those elk off those telephone poles.
Is that in Montana?
Yep. He said, you bunch of rednecks from Alabama. I said, but no, that's just improvising.
Yeah, you got to do something.
You found the sign. There's no tree.
Were they coming to alfalfa or water or what?
Alfalfa. Big alfalfa field. It was sitting kind of like an L. You had stands here and stands here, and you can watch yourself hunt, but all of them got poles on.
Okay.
See, I didn't find that idea all that crazy unless we're putting it in places where we couldn't put a tree stand in the first place.
Yeah.
So then I'm thinking, okay, we have zero cover. You literally are going to be
now you can build your cover up. You know what I'm saying? They've got these little artificial tree limbs that you can go up the pole with and make it a tree if you want to. I mean, you can do whatever you want to, but I mean, we've got one in Montana that's kind of out in the middle of nowhere, but you know, the deer don't look up as much in Montana as they do Alabama or something. You know, a buzzard come over and, you know, they'll turn inside out at home. So, but no, it's just trying to be creative of what you got. But,
hey, I've had the idea. I just never had the gumption or all the equipment and everything to do it, you know, to go drop a telephone. I've said, because mine is that what I wanted to do is put, not necessarily is it that, I wouldn't have cover. I'd have cover, but the tree doesn't allow you to put the stand. I know exactly where I want the tree, and there's not a tree there, and so it could be right next to a tree that I can't get a stand in, and so you just run it up right beside it and call it good.
You got your background right there.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
And sometimes we'll get up there and we got, you know, you've seen our Spanish moss, you know, down there and stuff. So we can run a rope in the tree behind us, and then drop the Spanish moss on top of that, and that way you got cover.
That's smart.
But like
Tristan,
Tristan,
background.
We should try for antelope next year.
Yeah.
We were talking about the water tank last year.
Especially if we go out there turkey season, he'll and I help him. He would do it for us.
Oh, John, he brought it up one time that he thought he had a place that we could put a tree stand.
Yeah.
You know, and then the antelope ended up not
we
coming
put
to that
telephone pole in.
Yeah, absolutely.
And a couple of them.
Yeah. And we got cedar trees, if y'all seen them down there at Squirrel. So we'll have a line of cedar trees, and there might be one tree. We'll put our ladder stand or whatever right by. So we're sitting right on top of the cedar tree in front of us. It's the best cover. They can't see. So you can go climb up and get in that stand when the deer in the field, and you can leave, and they don't know you're there. So it's just, I don't know, just redneck technology, I guess.
Right.
So
it works. Whatever works. I mean, that's what we were just talking about the other day, that these guys both, we put in a lot of ground blinds.
Yeah.
And we try to tell people and help them understand on how to make them disappear.
Yeah.
If you're going to hunt them. Well, Easton had the opportunity where we basically put one in and brushed it in. We felt like we were doing really good. Both of us got done, and it's like 3:30, something like that. But I had a couple text messages now I'm go to answer. By the time I answer the first one, the first deer, he's tapping me. There's a deer 4 yards away, walks right by, had no clue we were there. Mm-hmm. And then the one you and I put in was same thing. We didn't have a deer come by, but he had a trail camera that he left there, and that night they're walking right by it. I mean, they absolutely had no clue. So anytime that we can pass on some kind of information to our listeners that might make a difference for them. Yeah. I mean, it may the telephone pole thing or brushing that blind in, it's not like you're going to do it every year. You don't always have that situation, but having that in your pocket that you could pull that out and say, I could do this, you know, and someone else has done it, because I will say one of the first deer I killed MJ out of a ground blind, a deer in Montana, and no cover, no nothing, but he was coming to alfalfa bales. I mean, it was 100% legal. I didn't put them there. It was all natural where they were going to, but you had no way of hiding. So I just went and popped this blind up at like 2 o'clock in the afternoon, and I'm like, I think he's going to think it's another bale, and he's going to walk by this thing, but we'll see. Sure enough, a fawn came out first, and the fawn didn't care. Yeah. Well, then he came, and as he's coming, he's looking at the fawn, but he doesn't understand. He doesn't like it, but at the same time, she went through, and the doe that was with her little one went by, and that was all it took. And I ended up shooting him at 28 yards on it. I had 8 inches of snow and no cover and a ground blind sitting there for the first time. Yeah. You know, and so sometimes you just got to get out of the box, and that's what, when you were telling me about the telephone poles, you were the first one I'd heard of actually doing it. I mean, had the idea, but hadn't done it.
And you can get guy wires on that to make them stable, because, you know, you're putting 400 pounds, you're putting 2 people 200 pounds up there, so you want to, you know, so you get guy wires and tie them down and stuff and make it a little bit more stable. So, but yeah, I mean, whatever it is. Now, you know, when we started putting up tree stands, and this is a safety tip, because, you know, we would get 24 foot of sticks, you know what I'm saying? and we put the stand right on top of that. Well, you come up there and you're grabbing the tree and trying to swing over. Put up, we would put up 6 4-footers. Now we put up 7. Because that way we want to go up and then step down and stand. But we got, that's all we got. But we want to be as high as we can. No, you get that extra stick, and then you step down. I had to learn that the hard way. So especially when you're getting bulky clothes and stuff, more. And thank God they got the the safety vest and the lifelines and stuff. We didn't have that back in then. But most of your tree stand accidents was on that first move, getting into the stand or getting out of the stand. So. And that eliminated a lot of it, especially that lifeline being hooked up. So, when you get to my age, we're still going 35 foot in Alabama, but I like that ground blind. That's you're not having to climb as high. So I used to do a double flip off the diving board when I was 6 and 7 years old. When I got to 12 and 14, I was going, no, I ain't doing that anymore. So,
you guys are averaging 35 feet?
On some. Mostly we'll be 24 at the platform.
That's
35 feet. That makes the shot tough.
Well, you're gaining more, and y'all are archers. You gain more on coming down on them. They gain about 3/4 of an inch compared to being on the ground on the vitals. Russell Thornberry showed us that on the vitals of a whitetail when you're coming down, because you're coming down through those lungs and you're having a lower exit and you're going to have a blood trail compared to, if you're on the ground and stuff. So
that's what I was saying. I think was your deal with
the Buckeye shot.
Yeah.
Yep.
But I think people don't understand. Like when you're that high too, you got to aim significantly lower.
Yeah,
like you can't
always aim at the lower 1/3 because they're going down. That first move is down.
Yeah,
and squat. So, but it could be 35 foot, but the terrain that they're coming to is higher.
Okay,
you see what I'm saying?
Yeah. So it's not 35 feet down.
Yeah. Now sometimes it would be, but most of the time it's not. But our platforms are at 24. Okay. And hey, I always say, hunt at the platform you want. I just know we got double the scent, double the movement, and all that with all the stuff. So we try to get up and hope our thermals will go up. But that's always been the struggle video, and especially bow hunting video. I take my hats off to you. There ain't no way in heck I'll do 13 bow hunting shows. It's just, that's tough to do.
Yeah. Well, the whole thing is when I lived in Arkansas and was hunting the South, 40-foot rope. And you climbed to the top of your 40-foot rope. That's how you knew how high to go.
Yeah.
And that's what you did all the time.
We just tried to get higher than the deer could smell us. You know what I'm saying? When we started at 16, we went to 20, 24. We just had to go. And it seems like our mornings were a lot better because the scent was rising.
Yeah.
The afternoons, and being hot in the South and humidity, it's coming down. So, I don't know, it's crazy, but kudos to y'all with the stick and the bow and all that good stuff. I love it, but when I've hunted enough, I like that 300 too. So,
I'm getting into the gun stuff.
I
can understand.
That's an equalizer, okay?
Yeah.
For all you suckers that stood out there 60 yards, take some of that.
Yeah.
Oh, cool. Well, Jackie, I can't thank you enough. You guys got any more questions or anything like that?
I was not expecting to have some ideas to try after this. I thought we were just going to talk about some Jackie's history and some of the stuff he's done. But now I'm sitting here thinking, let's try a telephone pole, Dad, just for fun.
Yeah. Hey, just got to don't name it Jackie's pole, okay? That's all I ask you.
It would definitely be a white pine.
Good Lord. Like I said at the beginning, I apologized already for any comments that we might make, and Warren had to go ahead and stick one in there. That's even the wrong way to say that. So
they make a lot worse comments than we do.
Yeah.
We'll go. I have one other question, Wes. Mm-hmm. Over all of the people that you met that over all of the years, who stood out the most, or that you enjoyed being around the most?
Ooh, that's a tough one.
Better answer, right?
Are you talking about an outdoor personality?
Or somebody notable that people would know, a celebrity or outdoor personality?
Well, we'll make that a two-part question. Fred Bear was kind of my hero growing up.
Okay.
He was left-handed.
Yeah.
And when that grizzly bear came out behind that rock on the American Sportsman, he was my hero. And that was on my bucket list, was to shoot a grizzly with a bow. And I finally made that happen. And I was like, wow.
And did you know Fred personally?
Yeah, I met him 2 or 3 times. And he saw our target system. He said, "Man, that's pretty cool. Did you think of that?" I said, "Yeah, I had to come up with that one." So, but nice guy. I don't know. The Bo Jacksons and the Dale Earnhardts, those are the two guys that really helped me start Buckmasters.
Right.
Because with the events and stuff and having the Yamahas and those guys riding, and they know what we were trying. And, they were just friends, and they wanted to help. But probably one of my closest friends, Jeff Foxworthy. Nicest guy you'll ever want to meet. Great Christian guy. And, he's
pretty funny to boot.
Oh, he's fun. He's fun, and he was wearing me out, all the time on stuff. He said, "Yeah, Jackie wore a cowboy hat." He said the only horse he's ever seen is the one he put a quarter in at Walmart. But just been a true friend over the years. But I could go on and on. There's a bunch of them. John Anderson. They're just good old guys. They might be. Luke Bryan is probably one of the biggest stars there are out there. Nicest guy you'll ever want to meet.
Yeah.
Is there any way where you're like, this dude is just weird as hell? Like, he's just off his rocker.
Besides the mirror.
Huh?
Besides looking in the mirror.
There had to have been one or two that you're like, this person's just whack.
Jim Varney, that did the Ernest character,
Yep.
was the funniest guy.
Who's that? So
you'd have to go back and see. Ernest was like I'm trying to think of someone else who does a character now like he did, because he was a comedian, but basically he was in all kinds of commercials.
TV show or
he was
a
all
movie star.
Yeah, he was like a.
But he did commercials.
Fat guy like Chris Farley or whatever.
Yeah, but Ernest was like, he would be in these movies, but the movies weren't about him. He would just be a part of the movie, and he was all over the place.
But Ernest is his character? Or
Yes,
Ernest. He talked to Vern. He talked to a character, but he had all these voices and faces and stuff like that. But the guy was a Rhodes Scholar. Ernest saved camp, and Ernest Does Christmas was the #1 renting videos of all time. This guy, and he got the role as Jed Clampett in the Beverly Hillbillies, and that was a big deal to him because the Ernest character made him look dumb. You know what I'm saying? It was a dumb old goofy character and stuff. But we got to work with him, and the funniest guy, nicest guy you want to meet. And we got a chance to go see him out in Hollywood when the Beverly Hillbillies movie was shown and stuff. But yeah, but he wanted to help. And when we had Young Bucks Mailbox, that was Bubba and Steve Hall with Shotgun Red. So y'all might have been, but a lot of people loved that. We had that section for kids, and Jim Varney would, do the slapstick answer, and Shotgun Red would talk to him and stuff. Right. So, yeah, the only problem is we had 23 letters, and we only had $13 to give out. So we were trying to figure out how we could, we were making the kids mad, so we had too much demand. But, yeah, I'd have to say Varney was the real character in the whole group.
Okay.
Yeah. Wade Boggs, and that's a whole different story. That's a whole different podcast. So he was a piece of work, too.
Yeah. But I'm sure there's been a bunch, but.
Yeah, and they just saw what we were trying to do, and that was to promote the sport that they loved. And if Bo Jackson said hunting was cool, and all these kids are going, wait a minute, they're telling me hunting's bad. Bo says it's cool. Dale Earnhardt says it's cool. Wade Boggs says it's cool.
Yeah.
Jeff Fox. See, that's where I studied the animal rights movement and what they were doing, okay? And I was just countering them left and right.
Yeah.
And if y'all's generation doesn't do that, then, that's the key, is passing it on. I'm your dad and I are doing all we can. It's your age group that you got to teach and just educate them. And you know what it's about. It's a passion. I told folks, you ought to have hunter safety course in every course around the country. Teach them gun safety and respect and ethics and all that stuff, whether they hunt or fish. But
yep.
I don't know. Like I said, I got a few more years. I'm on the back side of this thing, so if God's got me some other whitetails to hunt, I will look forward to that. But,
yeah.
I passed the torch off to you young men, and y'all are doing a wonderful job. I heard Easton one was a mistake, but he seems to be a good one.
I'm rolling.
Yeah. He seems to be a good one.
Yeah.
Yeah. And again, y'all will do a lot of things in your lifetime. I promise you. You'll have a lot of accomplishments, but your #1 goal is having that squirrel trophy. Right
oh, Lord.
That right there is the Super Bowl of all Super Bowls. You didn't get one, you got 2.
Yeah.
And one of these days I'll tell you the real truth how you got 1, but I'm not telling you that. So
well, you can tell us the real truth about how we didn't get the one before, too.
when we lost by 1 squirrel.
Yeah, that's right.
Sometimes you win by 1, sometimes you lose by 1.
Well, guys, we're going to get out of here. We sure appreciate you guys tuning in. If you guys have not checked out Jackie Bushman's and the Buckmaster podcast, check that out, or check out their subscriptions. They still got magazines for those of you that are, like Jackie said, that are the older crowd that still want something to read when you're either in the toilet or in the
whole
ground blind, So, but no, we sure appreciate you guys. I know we were a little out of order here today, and that I'll take blame for that we didn't Easton didn't read a story today, and that was because I wanted to get as much time as we could in with Jackie. He's just out here visiting with us and doing some deer hunting. So, Warren, do you have a wacky fact, though, you were going to throw on?
I was going to pull one up.
All right.
Real quick.
In the meantime, I will remind you guys, go to raisedhunting.com. You're going to find Raised Scents. You're going to find the Nocks. You're going to find the Canine line. So make sure you guys are going there. We also have new sweatshirts are out. We're done with the podcast shirts, though.
Ordered yesterday.
You ordered them yesterday. So if you didn't get one, you missed out. Sorry.
Yep. And discount codes in the description. Sorry for cutting you out all this time. So
we gave everyone ample time, I think, didn't we?
No, I'm talking about I've been holding out on discount codes, putting it in the freaking description and stuff for them. I just say it, and then I was like, yeah,
gotcha.
Probably let them read it.
What do you got, a fact or something?
He does a
wacky fact at the end of every podcast.
We don't like it, but they all do. So
I'll give you one. Go and do yours.
Okay.
Well, you get a red and a green button. I'll tell you if you got it right or not.
And he's the guy that he gets to pick.
Oh, it's a fact. Okay. All right.
Well, it can be a story.
yeah. He's like, oh, boy.
In 1986, Christopher Thomas Knight ran out of gas in rural Maine and decided to retreat into the woods. He lived in complete isolation for 27 years, avoiding all human contact during that time.
Just from running out of gas.
I guess he was just over the bull. Just ran out of gas, like, I'm just done. Lived in the woods for 27 years.
I don't know how I feel about that one.
That's pretty freaking wild.
Whatever.
Could you imagine doing that?
All right, Jackie.
Is that a true or false?
That's me just judging whether it's worth listening to or not.
It's basically if he thinks it's good or not.
Oh, you think it's good enough?
He's been nice, or I've been nice to him lately. He used to have.
That's four. I know that's 4 in a row.
His nickname is Little Button Man.
Oh,
it's like Trump calls Kim Jong-un Little Rocket Man.
Yeah.
Because he's pretty communist with the button.
Little Button Man.
Yeah.
I'm normally a little more picky.
So
but I can be nicer to guess.
We want to know if that was a true story.
It is a true story. So they're all facts. They're all statistical facts. And then it's whether Easton thinks it's a good one or not.
If it's just a
Sometimes he gives
stupid
me
fact
stuff that I already knew. And I'm like,
okay.
you got to give me something that's actually interesting or something that I didn't know.
Okay.
So,
Okay.
Is your brain got something or no?
No, I just have a couple of slogan facts, that I've seen out there. I thought it was funny.
Let's hear it.
Send it.
It said, let's see, what was it? I got a bird dog for my wife. And then right under it said, I thought it was a fair trade.
I'll give him a green for that one.
Then the other one said, the Buckmaster's wife said, if you go hunting one more time, I'm going to leave you. And right under it said, God, I'm going to miss her. That's all I got. That's all I got for you boys.
Miss her.
That works. All right,
2 for
guys.
2. That was good.
This is the Raised Hunting Podcast signing off. Thank you guys for being here this week, man. We appreciate you.